The University of Oregon is located in Eugene, a city of 80,000 people, situated in the lush Willamette River Valley, midway between Cascade Mountains and the Pacific Ocean.
Touchdown! Jonathan Stewart! Yeah, I got your speed right here!
Hey, ball Barner, 10, outside 5. Are you kidding me?
I'm really proud of where this team's at. We got a lot of work to do.
What's the deal, Duck family? I am Kenjon Barner, typically alongside Jay Stu, but today it's just me, so guess what? We're going to make it do what it do. My guy's not here. He decided that golfing was a little bit more important. My guy's missing, okay? He's MIA. Put an APB out on him. He's not here. But listen, today we got a great episode lined up for you. First and foremost, the biggest part of the episode is today we will be interviewing the one and only number 28 in your playbooks, but number 1 in your heart, Bryce Beter. And we also have a special announcement. Again, I repeat, special announcement. If you guys want your voice heard, please click the link in the description and send in a voicemail. What was that? Miss Ann, what'd you say?
Well, I have to tell you guys, I am a duck. I'm 67 years old. I follow my ducks. But you, too, have the very best podcast or YouTube on duck football. I also love how you are teaching your audience some wonderful lifelong lessons. My name is Ann, and I just wanted to give you both a compliment. I do not miss your podcast ever, and keep it up.
Listen, give me a box of tissue, okay? Thank you, Miss Ann, for the message. But no, literally, like quite literally, if you want your voice heard, please click the link in the description, send in a voice memo, get your voice heard, ask the questions, give the compliments. We love compliments, put a smile on our face. You see this smile? Don't you want to see this more often? Please do it. But listen, get your voice heard. I want to hear your voice. Stu wants to hear your voice. The pod wants to hear your voice. Duck family, we love each other, so let's act like it. Send in a voice memo. Let's do it. With that being said, college football season has come to an end. There is a new king sitting on the Iron Throne, and that king is the Ohio State Buckeyes. There was a lot of conversation about the college football playoff. There was a lot of pros. There was a lot of cons. There was a lot of noise around this system. But one team had to win, and everybody else had to lose. So shout out to Ohio State. And listen, typically it would pain me. It would literally pain my soul, my actual being, to say congratulations to another team or another player for winning. And it's not that I'm a sore loser. I think losing is important because in order to appreciate winning, you have to lose. It would typically pain me, but in this situation, it doesn't. Shout out to Chip Kelly, guy who gave me an opportunity my redshirt freshman year to go back to the offensive side of the ball, and a guy that carried me and was there for me in ways all throughout college and even after, gave me an opportunity in the league. Listen, if it was not for Chip, I would not have 3 Super Bowl rings. Chip is the reason I have my first Super Bowl ring, traded for me in Philly. So shout out to him. As of now, the greatest coach in Oregon football history. I've said this before. Every organization, every sports team has a golden era. And in my opinion, that golden era for Oregon football will be that Chip Kelly era. It will be that time from 2000 and I'll start in 2007 and up until 2012 after that season. So shout out to Chip Kelly. Shout out to Coach Locke. Another guy, another Oregon guy, another guy who's a better man than he is a coach, somebody who I have frequent conversation with and frequent interactions with. Shout out to those guys. Chip getting his first natty, not as a head coach, but as an offensive coordinator. And I think there's something to be said in that. When you humble yourself and you allow someone else to shine, there's growth, there's evolution, there's a reward in that. And Chip humbled himself and took himself up to Ohio State to take a backseat to Coach Ryan Day, who did a hell of a job with this team. Just a beautiful time, beautiful moment. So again, shout out to Ohio State. Listen, you can hate them, you can love them. But at the end of the day, this team was special. This team was absolutely special. This college football season was special. We got to see a lot. And I'm going to tell you a couple things that I truly love about this system. We could go back and forth about the seeding and how it happened and what should have happened. In the grand scheme of things, all of that is besides the point. I want to use an analogy to kind of tie this in. And not everybody bakes. But I know a little bit about it. I'm kind of good in the kitchen. I mean, if you ask my wife, she'll tell you, I could throw down. Listen, I can burn, as they say. I can get on the grill. I can get over the stove. I can do it all in the kitchen. But baking, this college football playoff, it was like baking bread. You got to activate the yeast. You got to get your ingredients. You got to mix the dough. You got to form the dough. It's the kneading process, the first rise, the punch down and the shaping. It's the second rise. It's the forming of the bread again and the baking. And when you look at this college football playoff in this season, that's exactly what it was. It allowed us to see a true number one rise to the top. And so when I make that bread analogy, It's regular season. It's fall camp. When you're getting ready for bowl games, that break, when you're activating the yeast, that's fall camp. That's getting everything done. That's getting the preparation done. And now we're getting activated for the regular season. When you get into the regular season, that's the mixing of the dough. That's the forming of the dough. That's the thing that's preparing you. That's the kneading for that first rise. And then you get to the college football playoff. And you got to punch that dough down. And that's the teams breaking themselves down, going back, reevaluating, and then coming back to the season. Then again, you get that second rise. You get to form the bread, and then you get the bacon, get your final product. And Ohio State, when we look at this Ohio State Buckeye team, I want to talk to Oregon fans. It doesn't matter if we were on the other side of the bracket, if we would have played them in the semifinal, it wouldn't have mattered. This was by far the best team in the country. And when you look at the way this team played against Texas, Tennessee, Notre Dame, Oregon, there wasn't a better team in the country. What this 12-team playoff did for us is that it gave us a process in which we were truly allowed to see who the best team in the country was, because if this was the 14 playoff, Ohio State wouldn't have been there. If this was a couple of years prior to that, where it was just the top two teams in the country that go play for the national championship, we would have not been able to see the birth, the rise, and the fall of the teams that were above and the teams that were below. We just wouldn't have been able to see it. So this college football playoff truly gave us something special. And as I said, we could harp on ifs and the whats and the why nots. And we could say for Oregon fans, oh, we were screwed. We got the short end of the stick. Either way, we would have had to play this Ohio State team. And as I said earlier, no thing was going to beat this team. This team was bar none the best team in the country. And so we should love and appreciate what this system gave to us. Yes, it needs tweaks. Yes, it needs changes. Yeah, there needs to be some adjustments made to it. But what this playoff system gave to us, we got to see the birth of, like I said, the true number one team. We got to see the rise. We got to see what a longer extended season can do and what it can propel and what it can produce. During the regular season, yes, Oregon fans, we were the number one team, without a doubt. Undoubtedly, we were the number one team. But when you get into the playoffs, in any playoff situation, it's no longer about what you were, but it's about who you are. It's about what you want to become. And when you look at Oregon and when you look at Ohio State, when you look at these other teams, injuries or whatever that played a part into it, we weren't what they were. The other teams in the country were not what they were. Ohio State was just better. Ohio State was just more together. Ohio State outcoached. They outplayed. They outphysicaled. They outsmarted. You know, Chip was in his bag and had a whole lot of dip on his chip. The entire country can thank Michigan for the birth of this Ohio State team, because this is the team that everybody was expecting to see all season long. We never seen this version of Ohio State. We didn't see this great Ohio State team that we've seen in the playoffs. I didn't see Ohio State play like they played in the playoffs all season long. So again, we could thank Michigan for this. Michigan birthed this monster. Michigan nurtured this baby. The planting of the flag, everything that took place afterwards, we can all blame Michigan for this, because the team that we seen after that Michigan game was a team that nobody, again, as I said earlier, nobody in the country was going to beat. But now that that's done, now that that's over with, we have our champion. We have our king of the North, as my guy Will said, the king of the North will remember. They remembered. They took names. They wrote it down. They took voice recordings. They took videos. They did it all. And they came to play and ended up winning. But with that being said, Duck fans, it's time to put this season behind us. It's time to move on. Still on my comments, you know, on X, I get people want to talk about, you know, what should have been. No, let's let it go. It's over and done with. But with that being over and done with, we have a new season that is approaching us, and it will be here before we know it. First thing that we do have coming up on February 5th is the Oregon signing day. So we'll actually get an opportunity to see the guys that we have coming in. Some guys who will be contenders for starting spots. Some guys who will be contenders to be major playmakers on this team. Some guys who will be the guy on the team. We get the opportunity to see a lot. And that's the great thing about college football. You get to press that reset button. You get to rebuild. You get to restructure. You get to refocus. You get new blood in. So this is the opportunity that we have to see. And that is the most important piece of the puzzle right now, is National Signing Day. This is an opportunity for us to see what we'll have coming in, the guys that'll help build this program and get us back to that place of being in the Big Ten championship, being in the college football playoff, making a run at a national championship. When you have guys like DeCorian Moore coming in at receiver, Naeem Alford coming in at DB, Kendre Harrison at tight end, Trey McNutt, Brandon Finney, Jamari Johnson, Mekhi Hughes, the list goes on and on of guys that will come in and be instant playmakers for this team. So we have a lot to look forward to. And one thing about this coaching staff and about Dan Lanning is that we know for sure is that they can recruit. And the guys that they recruit end up being playmakers and end up being guys that become nationally known guys. So this program and what we have going forward, there's a lot to be excited about. Yes, the season did not end the way that we would have liked it to. And for those of us who have been a part of this program, been in the program, been entrenched in, and for the fans that have been generations upon generations, we're tired of waiting. But sometimes, as me and Stu have talked about, that there's something in the wait for us, gratification. When you reach the pinnacle of this sport and you get there and you win, you can look back on the journey. You can look back on the road that it took to get here, and there's a greater appreciation for the success that you'll now have. So our time is coming. And I know we're tired of saying that, but don't get tired of saying that, because there's a lot of schools who don't have a time that's coming. Just being honest, there's a lot of schools out there who will never win a national championship. There's a lot of schools out there who will never be in a college football playoff. There's a lot of teams out there who will never have players that are worth mentioning. And I hate that I said that because that sounds so wrong, but honestly, it's the truth. This program, this team, this school, don't become spoiled by the successes that we have and become ignorant to the fact that it's hard to achieve greatness and it's hard to achieve wins in this game of college football. I mean, we can look at down the list of lines of college teams who've never been in the position that Oregon has been in. So don't become so spoiled and so entitled to the success that we've had that we forget that where we once were, because we've had losing seasons. We've had seasons where we haven't won games. We've had that. Don't forget the history. Don't be so spoiled about what has become of this school that you lose sight of where you were. Just be focused on us moving and progressing in the right direction, and we're slowly but surely getting closer and closer and closer. We've been right there. That time is coming. So let's look forward to National Signing Day on February 5th. Let's look forward to the guys that we have coming back, and Bryce Boettcher, Evan Stewart, guys that are coming back to help this team compete again. So let's not focus on last year. As a matter of fact, let's have a moment of silence now. Okay, let's quiet our minds, let's quiet our thoughts, let's quiet our voices, and let's put last season to bed and finally move on from it for good so we can focus on the new. Okay, that's long enough. We didn't need long for that. Okay, it's done. It's over with. But with that being said, ladies and gentlemen, I know you didn't come here just to see me talk this entire time as much as you've loved hearing me talk, because you've told me. Okay, so you can't pretend that you don't. But what you're really here for is for the interview. What you're really here for is the guy that's in the uniform. Number 28 in the playbook, number 1 in your hearts, ladies and gentlemen, Bryce Beter. Bryce, we appreciate you coming on, my guy. It's a pleasure to have you, and we got some things to talk about, man. How we doing?
Doing good, man. I appreciate you having me.
For those of you who don't know, me and Bryce have had the opportunity to be around each other a little bit, chop it up a few times. You know, before we even get started, I like to give people their flowers up close and personal, in person, so they know exactly how I feel and what I feel. You know, but the world may not know. To me, every team always has a couple of guys that you're drawn to, that really grab your attention, that you really become fans of. The Tez, you know, all those got Bassa, but for me, it was you. And I told you this. I've always felt that Bassa had the name on the defense, but you were the guy on that defense. You were the link that kind of tied everything together. I've been a fan of you since this season started. I wasn't too aware of who you were at the beginning, but I became very familiar with you by the end of it. First and foremost, I want to congratulate you on one hell of a season that you had, man. What you were able to accomplish is not something easy. It's not an easy feat, and so I really hope people understand the grind and the grit and the effort and the sacrifice that it took for you to be who you were. So, man, let's talk about it, bro. How you feeling after season? How's the body? How's the mind? How's the spirit? How's everything going?
No, I appreciate the intro, man. You nailed it. For those that are listening, you know, KB was one of my biggest guys on the field who I watched growing up in Eugene. So it's cool to be on this podcast with you. So I appreciate you. Mine after the season, especially with the Natty happening last night, definitely a mixed bag of emotions. Felt like we should have been in that game, but obviously, you know, Ohio State put it to us in the Rose Bowl. You know, they were the better team. They came out on top. But definitely have some unfinished business. That's why I'm coming back for another season as a Duck, you know, to go on another run like we had this year. But yeah, I'm excited to just get back working out with the guys and, you know, developing myself as a player, body and weight room. So
speaking of the national championship game, I hate going backwards, but we got to go backwards.
Yep.
This is me and your first time actually being, we talked after the game, but to actually like kind of let the dust settle, you know, emotions come down and kind of really reflect on the game. What was so different from the first time you played Ohio State versus playing them in the Rose Bowl?
One, momentum. We definitely had a lot of momentum in our game at home. For anyone that's played in Autzen Stadium, it's, a hard place to win as an opponent.
Yes, it is.
Yeah, we had a turnover, had a, onside kick that worked out our way. And obviously, I think going into the second game, they had more of a chip on their shoulder. They had more of something to prove. And in the game of football, when you got something to prove, man, and when you have that chip on your shoulder, I feel like I'm a prime example of that. You're going to be really successful in this game. And they certainly came out with that chip on their shoulder and, put it to us. So credit to them.
Yeah, we're gonna get to you in a second. Don't you be jumping ahead too much now. We're gonna get to you in a minute. But being around the team, I got the opportunity to come to practice. I believe it was that Monday or that Tuesday. And I got to see you guys over at what was the Home Depot Center, but is currently, I don't even know the name of it. It's something I feel like it changes all the time. But being around the team and having conversation with a couple guys, even the support staff, everybody said the right thing. We're ready. We had a physical off-season, quote unquote. We had physical practices. We got it in. We were ready. What was it? Because I was shocked. I wasn't expecting that, and seeing you guys move around the way you did on the practice field. And Ohio State was shocked. I'll tell you that. Talking to some of those guys, they weren't expecting that. They expected to win. Obviously, what else would you think, being the opposing team? But no one in the country was expecting that. So what happened or what didn't happen in regards to, I don't want to say game plan, but it's just as far as play, because a lot of times it seemed like there wasn't a level of preparedness there, which was crazy to me. Because I sat and I watched you guys. I watched you practice. So what was it?
Yeah, I mean, like you said, man, you saw us practice. We had the same sort of preparation we did every single week of the season. Nothing changed. Some physical practices, mentally. I felt that the entire team was ready. So like you said, the whole shock feeling that was amongst everyone, man. I'd say scheme-wise, they definitely had some things on the offensive side that they would check down to condensed formations. They knew our checks were going to be on defense, and ran some route concepts that were really good against our defense. Obviously, they had some tremendous athletes that exposed some of our guys on defense, which going into the game we knew we had to eliminate. But it's one thing to talk about it; it's another thing when you have an absolute freak of a wide receiver on their side of the ball. It's the game. It's the way it goes.
Yeah.
So, as you said, we never changed anything when it came to preparation. Just so to come out and see us look like we weren't prepared was surprising.
Very surprising. And like I said, I got the opportunity to be around you guys and kind of watch you guys. That was my first time being at a practice. And I seen you guys move. I seen the attention to detail. I seen the communication. So it was shock factor to all of us. And I said on the last episode, me and Jay Stu, that as much as we're hurting as fans, we could never hurt as much as you guys are hurting, because you guys are putting the blood and sweat equity in each and every day. So for all the fans out there, again, we're hurting, but these guys that are wearing them pads, wearing them helmets, and going out there doing that hitting, these guys are truly the ones that's hurting the most. I think fans lose sight of that sometimes. They think for whatever reason they care more than the players or than the coaches do. Listen, this is their livelihood. These guys are trying to get to the next level. Nobody wants to go out there and lay an egg. I definitely understand. But I want to get to you. What did it mean to you to win the Earlsworth Trophy this past season? What did that how did that feel? What did that do for you? I know one person who has been a walk-on, earned a scholarship, and turned into something. That's in TJ Ward. But what did that mean for you, my guy?
Yeah, honestly, it meant everything. To just all the days that it felt like no one noticed my work, just what I was putting into it, all the days that, probably more bad ones than good ones, to be honest with you, as a walk-on, and just struggles mentally. But just seeing that and, seeing my work pay off, there's no better feeling, especially the hardest work there has to be, like you said, starting as a walk-on.
Yeah.
But, with that being said, it's, kind of once a walk-on, always a walk-on. Like, I'm not satisfied. Like, I'm coming back to win that award again next year. Like, if I don't win that award next year and we don't win a national championship, like, it's going to piss me off. So, it's a great honor. And actually, I have it sitting right here. Came in the mail, sitting on the...
Can we get a look at it? Can we see
Yeah, you want me
it?
to turn my camera on right here?
Yeah, go ahead, do your thing. Yeah, don't be shy now. Sharing is caring.
See it up there?
Yes, sir. Yeah, you can't miss it.
Sitting
You
right
can't
there.
miss it. Yeah, man, that's amazing, bro. Congratulations on that. And let's talk about the hard road a little bit, because I don't think a lot of people truly understand what it means to be a walk-on, what that looks like, what that feels like. And I think the times are different now, but back when I was in school, walk-ons couldn't eat with us. They could come to practice, work hard all day long, get beat up, but then couldn't come upstairs and have training table with it. So I used to sneak a couple of my guys. I would sneak them food out the cafeteria and get in trouble for it. But it was crazy for me. So the grind of a walk-on is completely different from one that is on scholarship. It's a completely different path. They're looked at different. Oftentimes they're treated different. So for you taking that road, what we talked about though, you mentioned those hard days, and a lot of times those hard days are what makes the glorious days feel what they are, because you can look back and see where you came from. So kind of expand on the hard days for you. What were some of those things that you went through, some of those experiences? Was there doubt in your mind? Did you ever think about, okay, maybe this may not be for me? Take us through that a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, first off, with the way you were saying about the training table and the meals, man, I mean, we were living great as walk-ons compared to when you were playing. But
Hey, wait a minute, Bryce. You kind of made me sound. Don't do me like
no,
that now.
you ain't old, man, you ain't old. But anyways, yeah, I'd probably say, because I mean, I was a walk-on in baseball too, but it's a little bit different in baseball. It's, there's a lot of guys that are walk-ons, partial scholarship, but football, like you said, it's a different kind of walk-on.
Yeah.
I'd say my first year I came in as a safety, and I didn't really know what I was getting myself into. I didn't know if I could play at this level. I didn't know, there were so many like what ifs for me. Like, what if I'm big enough, fast enough, strong enough, whatever. And I found out fast, like really fast, within our first scrimmage of fall camp. I'm like, okay, I can play here.
Mhm.
Like, I'm fast enough, I'm strong enough, like I sure as heck hit hard enough. And that's what I noticed. I was like, I'm more physical than probably 95% of the guys out here. And
That's
that's how I'm gonna
crazy.
separate myself.
Yeah.
And that was one of the hardest things for me, is coming in, I'd get like 2 to 3 reps of practice, an entire practice. They put me in
Mhm.
maybe 2 or 3 times,
Yeah.
as you know, and every time I'd come in, I would, I had, like I said, I had this chip on my shoulder that, I never got a letter from Oregon when I was in high school. I was always my dream school in football. I didn't really know any guys on the team, so I really didn't care. So I was hitting the like, as hard as I could, no wrap up, full shoulders, run through everyone, and, the amount of times Lanning would send me to the goalpost, to run, 'cause you can't do that in practice, but I didn't care. I was
Yeah.
like, "I'm getting my name out there." So they put me on special teams or something, but then it was kinda like, when I was doing that, and my rep count never went up. Like, it was like, no matter what I did, it seemed like no one noticed. Like, yeah, I mean, that's
Yeah.
kinda what it felt like. Um, and then but telling myself that, sooner or later, hopefully it'll pay off. And, the coaches did recognize it after, month 1 or month 2 of me doing it. Okay, we gotta put this dude on kickoff.
Yeah.
So then it worked out after a while, but
Story time with KB. Kind of do that on here every now and then. We had a cat named Anthony Wallace out of Dallas. One of the hardest hitting dudes I've ever been around in my life. And he had that mindset. He did not care. Every practice, he was trying to knock somebody's helmet off. It was to the point where me and LaMichael would go to A-Dub before practice, because he would be on scout team.
yeah.
Like, hey Dub, chill today, bro. Like, nah, we not on that today. Don't do that. Sometimes they wouldn't even put him in with us because you couldn't control him, because
Yeah.
he was going to try and smoke you. So that kind of put me in that mindset. And then he said something that I can identify with, because I went to Oregon as a DB before making the switch over to running back.
I did not
What
know
was
that.
that? Yeah. So I came in as a DB, and before I got switched over, they switched me over in spring ball. I was actually starting at nickel. So I was going to be starting on defense. Yeah. I was actually kind of nice. I was real nice. Coach Frost used to tell our DBs when I was on the offensive side of the ball, he used to tell them, how crazy is it that our best DB is at running back? Like, I got nice on it. Shout out to Walter Thurm, TJ Ward, Pat Chung, Jarius Bird. Them guys put me on game.
Yeah.
But during that transition phase, what were you thinking? Because I know for me, it was kind of like, damn, is this going to work out? Like, I'm in a completely different spot. I'm just getting comfortable in the position I'm now at, and now I'm switching over to something different. So did you have to kind of tweak your mindset a little bit?
Yeah, I certainly did. You're talking transition from safety to linebacker?
Yeah.
Quite a bit, actually, because I mean, putting on the weight part, that was fairly easy for me. I feel like, I had a pretty good frame to do that, but it was
Lucky you.
it was the, like, downhill angles from safety. You don't have to break down. You can just run through things.
Yeah.
Football or linebacker, it's so just like verlateral. Like, you have to stay in
Mhm.
your base, shuffle, and then when you go, I mean, there's a little bit of an angle you have to take, but it's mostly like sideline to sideline, and the
Yeah.
reaction time is way quicker. So just being able to, because safety you have more, a little more reaction time to, make a decision and go. Yeah, it was ultimately just the reaction time of, okay, this, 315-pound dude is coming at me, trying to take
Yeah.
my head off, and I have to figure out whether I want to strike him, backside arm rip him, or what I want to do to get around him. So I'd
Yeah.
say just like the speed of it was the hardest part for me transitioning.
I watch you in coverage. That's really where I pay attention to linebackers. I want to see anybody. Let me say that correctly, because not anybody can do it, but a lot of people can fill a gap. A lot of people can hit somebody, but can you cover in space? And when I watch you, I see the ability there, and so I can see where playing safety has helped you with angles and kind of knowing how an offensive player is thinking playing at that safety spot, and now you're down at that linebacker spot. So I want to commend you on that, because not a lot of people can do that. It's a lot of people who go out there and fake the funk and hold, but you can actually cover. Shout out to you for being one of them cats that can actually, get down there and lock somebody up, because there's not too many. A lot of people pretend.
I appreciate it.
So let's jump into this year. You get your extra year. Shout out to you. Congratulations. I am happy about that. This defense, with you coming back, you always want your core. And like I've already told you, you are that core piece to me. You are that core piece. And with guys that you have coming in, I think it can all mold together in a way that I think this defense could be something special. What did that mean to you, to get another season? Where does your mind go? What are you hoping to improve on with another year? And what went into the decision for you to come back?
Yeah, no, I appreciate it. I'm pumped to have gotten the extra year. I may have, I think you were probably one of the first people I told about it originally. I definitely knew quite a bit of time before the Rose Bowl, but I was trying to keep it on the DL. Just
Trying to keep
focus
it on the
on the game.
reps.
Yeah, if we would have won the national championship this year, we probably wouldn't be having this conversation. I'd probably be elsewhere. But knowing that the way that game went, and there's just a lot of unfinished business, and I feel like I'd be doing my community, family, and myself a disservice if I didn't use all my eligibility. Being a Duck. I grew up a lifelong Duck fan. I know that baseball is definitely in my future, but you can't short college football, man. I mean, I haven't
No.
played in the pros. You could probably give me some insight on what that's like, but I feel like college football will probably be one of your best times of your life, especially playing at Oregon, from what I've experienced. So I feel, I feel like that says it all.
Yeah, you hitting the nail right on the head. You will never experience on any level of football what you experience with Oregon football, and I think anywhere else. College football in general, there's nothing like it. The atmosphere, how organic the fan base is, how much love the fan. When you talk about college, you're talking about generations upon generations upon generations upon generations of fandom within families. So you'll never experience nothing like college football. I literally was just having this conversation at the Rose Bowl. I was talking to Quentin and Mary Kate, not that you know who they are, but they work for the Big Ten Network. And I'm just kind of sitting there in the press box, just shaking my head. They're like, "You okay?" I'm like, "Yeah." I was like, you guys don't understand this feeling.
Yep.
Like, this is special. This is rare. You 10 years in the league, and they're outside of the Super Bowl in Philadelphia. There wasn't a single time where I felt what I felt in college. So you hit the nail right on the head with that.
Hearing that, I'm glad I made the right decision.
Yeah, man. A lot of people rush to get to that next level, but it's different for y'all now. Y'all getting that bag. Y'all getting to that chicken, so y'all can sit a little bit longer and make it happen. But look, you get your extra year. We're here. What does this offseason look like for you, and what are you trying to improve on? What are the goals for you this upcoming season?
Yeah, I'd say that was another big part of me coming back, because I felt like, I never had an offseason as a football player. I've always gone right into baseball, drop down 10 pounds, make myself a little quicker on the diamond. I feel like this is a time for really me to, improve my speed and ultimately just my power in the weight room, getting, up to 230 pounds before the season starts.
How much do you weigh now?
I'm right around 220, played the season around 220,
Okay.
which, my speed, that's what makes me good, my ability to recognize stuff and just play fast, and like I said, I still hit plenty hard enough, but if I'm able to do the same stuff and stay the same speed at 230, I think I'd be even more of a weapon. So ultimately just doing that and establish for myself as a leader. It's definitely hard to, going from baseball to football, if you're out there every day for off-season training, to establish yourself as a leader, which I felt like I was on the defense. But it starts now. It starts in off-season training.
Yeah.
It starts with showing face in the building and being consistent with everything you do. Probably those two things. And then, as you said, you said I was good in coverage. I think I can improve a little bit too.
Yeah.
Getting a little bit more mobile, getting a little bit more in my legs, and definitely key in the hip. So I think those 3 things kind of sum it up.
I like that, bro. And I'm gonna challenge you. I've given you me and Stu, I talk about you a lot. You my guy. So when me and Stu talk about you, I've paid you probably one of the best and biggest compliments that I can give anybody playing your position based off of guys that I've been around. And I tell Stu, I see flashes of Luke in you, Luke Kuechly, that is. When I watch you play, whether it's the tenacity and what you get to the ball, whether it's your ability to recognize things before they happen, whether it's your ability to kind of maneuver your way into small gaps and be in position to make a play and even in coverage. So I see flashes of him. And so while you're getting your body in shape and while you're evolving and advancing in that way, I want to challenge you mentally.
Okay.
It wasn't Luke's speed. It wasn't his strength. All of that helped. But it was Luke's ability to literally call out a play before the play happened. He studied the game so much to where he would pay attention to the depth of the running back, whether or not a lineman was leaning too far forward, too much pressure on his fingertips, or whether he was sitting back. Luke was a absolute genius. And when I was in Carolina, you expect that. That's the team you with. You're battling against them every day. He would call out plays. But when I went to the Philadelphia Eagles and we played them 2017, we're lining up to run a play. It's myself and Carson Wentz in the game. And before we even get settled, Luke is calling the play out. And I'm looking at Carson like, bro, change the damn play. And he looked at me a little.
All on that play, and you're
yeah,
like,
I was. I absolutely was. And he's literally calling our play out, and I'm like, Carson, bro, audible. Like, give me an Opie call, opposite, anything. He was like, bro, I'm sorry, and we had to run it. And Luke was right there. But again, Luke was fast. Luke was physical. He was strong. But what made Luke so special, bro, was his mind, his ability to understand it and understand it in a way that most guys will never understand the game of football. So if you can advance mentally, that physical aspect to it will be nothing because you'll be in position every single time. You'll be ready to make a play. You'll have it nailed down to a T. So that's my challenge to you because you have the physical abilities. You have the heart, first of all. That's the main thing. You got one of the biggest hearts on the field. But you have the speed, you have the strength. You have the desire and the want to get that mental piece to it. And if you can get that, bro, I promise you, this season you'll see what you did last season won't compare to what you'll be able to do this season. So really getting that film room and really study, really pay attention and learn the game as much as you can. I know baseball is your future and it's in your future, but maximize football while you're in it because you never know what could happen because the league can come call. And I believe you have the talent to play in a league if you wanted to. But we know that baseball money a little bit different, okay? So I don't blame you.
Yeah, well, once you get there, though, it takes a good amount
Take
of
a
time.
little bit.
That's good advice, man. And like you said, at the end of the day, in the long run, it's your mental. It's going to separate you. So
Yeah, and no doubt about that, bro. I'm in your corner, so we good. But listen, I heard you know a little bit about landscaping. I heard you know a little bit about that. Tell me how has that helped you to get to this space where you're at now, and what do you plan to do with that?
I'd say gratitude. So I was a landscaper. 2020 COVID, was sitting on the couch, bored out of my mind. I was like, I got to make some money. I got no money in my bank account. I'm doing nothing. We got to do something. So my high school basketball coach, his cousin, I think it was, owned a landscaping company in Coburg, Oregon. Went to work for him for, about 6-7 months. And, I put it as if I realized I was great that I did it. I realized what I don't want to do with my life in the future. And that's probably a landscaper. I met some of the most interesting people in my life doing that.
Yeah.
One guy I actually went skydiving with. He was an ex-Marine.
Okay.
One heck of a dude. But yeah, like I said, just gratitude, knowing that when I'm up at the facility, getting up there at, 6:30 in the morning and, definitely in fall camp, not leaving until 9:30, just some of the long days where I feel like most dudes complain about it.
Yeah.
It's like, have you ever worked a minimum wage job in the summer when it's 95 and you're digging a ditch, sweating? It's like, what am I doing? I'm hardly making any money after, the little tax cut here, and I can go and buy a burrito for this hour of work. I'm digging this ditch for, it's like I said, it's just great perspective in life, and it makes you grateful for, being an Oregon Duck and all the things that we get here at Oregon.
Yeah, you understand hard work. You understand what it looks like. You understand what it feels like, and you can see it in the way that you play. You remind me of an East Coast cat, blue collar, hard work, and ready to get to it by any means necessary. That's what you remind me of. So I completely understand that. Now, listen, One of my biggest fears was skydiving, and I had the opportunity to do that for my 30th birthday. What was
Mhm.
that like? What was that experience like for you?
Yeah, it was unbelievable, man. It was something I always wanted to do. So my
Mhm.
my aunt got me a certificate to go for my 18th birthday. So on my 18th birthday with the ex-Marine, we went tandem. I think it was around 15,000 feet.
Yeah.
It was a great day out. It was, I mean, probably as you experienced, probably the loudest thing ever, the most peaceful thing ever, all in at least 10 to 20 seconds.
Man,
It's hard to describe. Yeah, what do you got on it?
that was one of the scariest, nerve-wracking, fulfilling moments of my life.
Yeah.
I was shook. You know, when you're on a commercial flight, how fast you get up to 10,000, 15,000 feet? I
Mhm.
feel like it took us an hour.
That's the thing, man, is the scariest part isn't even jumping out of the plane, it's the
No,
plane
it's
ride
not.
up in the
Yes.
cardboard box, and it's shaking, and you're like, "Okay."
Yeah, the whole time we're going up in my mind, I'm thinking, this is a perfectly good plane. Why am I jumping out? What am I doing? For me, bro, that was one of the best experiences that I've had because it forced you, one, that was my biggest fear, jumping out of a plane. The biggest fear, top of the list. And so to be able to do that, it was like overcoming a weakness, overcoming something that I've never had the desire to do, but did it. And it kind of gave me perspective on a lot of things. It's kind of like, bro, right on the opposite side of fear is life.
Yeah.
Because once you jump out that plane, you either gonna stay in fear or you gonna enjoy the moment. There's no in between. You're gonna do one or the other. And if you're gonna stay in fear, it was for nothing. And if something go wrong, it's over with anyway. So you might as well enjoy it.
Yeah.
So man, it was a beautiful experience for me as well. But while we're talking about being in the sky, talk to me about this pilot license. What's going on with that?
Yeah, man. I mean, as your biggest fear was jumping out of a plane, I think I love feeling alive, and I think my biggest hobby could be being a pilot.
Yeah.
My grandpa was a pilot. My dad always wanted to be a pilot,
Okay.
and, I went out to Crestwell, went on, like, a little private plane with, my grandpa and flew a little bit, and it was definitely something I was like, "Okay," seeing something from a bird's eye view.
Yeah.
Again, the perspective thing, I think it gives you great perspective when you see actually how much is out there and how little you could be, in the grand scheme of things. I think it's a little
Mhm.
humbling, but also just the view, it's peaceful. Obviously I have to dive a little more into it before I go about getting my license and whatnot, but it's definitely something I wanna do, down the road.
Have you started the process of getting, or are you still kind of in that in between stage?
Yeah, I haven't started the process of
Okay.
getting it, but it's definitely something, that's on my mind. Once I'm done being an athlete, I'll definitely go down that road.
Okay. Well, listen, when you get your license, I want to get in the plane with you. I might jump out it.
Alright, I'll
I'm
take you up
capping.
in
I'm
the
not.
sky.
I'll go up there with you. I'm not jumping though. Jumping back into football for a little bit, man. What most excites you about this upcoming football season? Is it the opportunity to get back out there and compete? Is it the opportunity to compete for a national championship? Is it just being back in the environment of Oregon football? What excites Bryce about this upcoming season?
Yeah, I'd say a couple things. I'd say, getting out in Autzen Stadium again, like,
Yeah.
after what I thought was my senior night against UW, it just didn't feel real, didn't feel right. It felt like it went too quick,
Hmm.
given that I only played 3 seasons of football here. So honestly, just getting back into Autzen one more
Yeah.
time, I'm excited about just getting back and playing football. I love football, man. There's nothing, I mean, as you know, nothing in this world, maybe skydiving, that can give you the
Yeah.
feeling you get playing football. So that, and then just being around the guys all the time,
Yeah.
I definitely noticed them. Even for 2 weeks, we've had 2.5 weeks off, and I've definitely done some stuff to keep myself busy. But there's nothing like the energy of a weight room, of a locker room. You can't match it.
No.
So just that aspect of it.
Yeah. No, you can't. For those of you individuals that's watching this, that's never had the luxury of being on a sports team, whether it be high school, collegiately, there is nothing like the camaraderie that you have within the locker room. There's nothing like the conversation and the interactions and the jokes and the competitiveness that takes place on the field, in the locker room, and in the weight room. It's something that I wish everybody could experience because that's what I miss most about the game. It's not
Yep.
even I don't miss playing at all. You could have that. But I miss being around my brothers. I miss being in the locker room. I miss being in the weight room, doing all of that stuff. So I know exactly what you mean when you say that. And I wish everybody watching this had that opportunity. It's something special. It really is. The sport in general, is special. It is a beautiful thing. It's a gift. It's a blessing. And we were very fortunate to be able to experience it. I'm not going to hold you too much longer. I got a couple more questions for you. What are your thoughts on the new players coming in on offense? Have you had the opportunity? I know you guys are just getting back going. Have you had the opportunity to talk to them, be around them, get a feel for them, anything?
Yeah, I mean, like I said, today was the first day, so I'm honestly just getting names down with the guys, and it's going to take a couple days to get that down. But, based off what I've seen so far and what I've heard, we're going to be talented. It's going to be leadership that's going to separate us. Last year, we had a lot of old guys, a lot of leadership. But this year, like I said, we're going to have plenty of talent. It's never been the issue. It's just, figuring out who our leaders are and who's going to take us to the promised land, who our go-to guys are.
I feel that. Is it Kendra? Is he there yet?
Kendra, I'm not sure, to be honest with you.
Okay. Well, whenever you get the opportunity, because I know he's coming out there to hoop too.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he's a
Okay.
hooper. He's supposed to be that guy. I
Nice.
seen him on the sideline. It might have been the Maryland game, or it might have been the Ohio State game. I can't remember which game it was. I kind of said something to him like, "Bro, I dog you," and he looked at me. He was like, "You too little." The disrespect. But if you get the opportunity, trying to get in his ear and let him know what it takes to be a two-sport athlete and do it at a high level, because that's exactly what you do. You perform at a high level both on the diamond and the football field, and there's not too many out there like you. But that's all I'm going to hold you for today, bro. I appreciate you coming on. You know how I feel about you. That ain't going to change. You know I'm in your corner. If you ever need anything, any conversation, you want some one-on-one reps, I'll put some cleats on for you, which I vow to never do again. But for you, I'll put them back on.
All right, man. Well, I'm going to hold you to it. Next time you're Gene, let me know. Let's drive it up.
No doubt, my guy. I appreciate you, bro. Much love.
Yeah, I appreciate you, KB. Thanks for having me on.
No doubt. Bryce Beter, ladies and gentlemen. Well, Duck family, that's all we got time for today. It's been fun. Stu, I love you. Even though you're not here, I still love you. And as always, Duck family, remember, ducks of a feather flock together.